All right, and we're gonna start down on the floor with our glute bridges. So remember, laying flat on our backs, heels are planted on the floor, then we're pushing through our heels to lift our hips up into the air until there's a straight line from our knee to our hip joint, all the way to our shoulder joint, coming back down nice and slow and just moving through that. And if you're not comfortable with getting down on the floor today, then we're gonna do those standing marches. So just bringing that knee as high as we can towards our chest instead of those glute bridges. Good job. Let's try to get 3 more reps together. Good work. Now we're going to move on to our second movement, which is going to be that chest press. So if we're still down on the floor, we're still in that same position. Now we have our dumbbells over our wrists, our elbows, and our shoulders, so out in the air. Then from there, bending at the elbows to bring those arms down to the floor. Once your arms touch the floor, we're pushing them back up again to meet in our starting position. And just going through that. If we're not comfortable with that chest press down on the floor, then we're going to do that overhead press. So taking whatever option works best for you today, whether that's the overhead press or that chest press here on the floor. And let's try to get 3 more reps together. Good job. Now we're going to stand back up again to get into our alternating front and lateral raises. So standing with our feet under our hips, our dumbbells are in our hands. We're lifting those dumbbells with straight arms up out to the sides, up to our shoulder height, back down again, and then lifting them out front up to our shoulder height and back down. And so remember with this one, we don't want our shoulders at our ears. We want to think about having nice, relaxed shoulders. And we want to maintain control as we bring those dumbbells up and down. So we don't want to just fly them up and then back down. We want nice, smooth control. And let's do 1 more each way. Good job. Now we're going to transition into our air squats. So for this one, putting our weights to the side. And we're going to start with those air squats. So feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Our toes are pointed outwards. And we're squatting down, making sure our knees go over our toes. Then we're standing back up. And remember, trying to keep our chest up nice and tall. If a squat is not available to you, then what you can do instead, same footwork, so feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, toes pointed outwards, and we're going to squat onto a chair or a bench. So once your bum hits that chair, then you're going to stand back up again. And remember, taking this with some nice control here. Making sure that our knees always go over our toes. Good job. Let's do 3 more together. And 1 more. Good work. Now we're going to move into our plank. So again, a couple different options here. We can plank against an elevated surface like a countertop. We can plank against the wall, or we can come down onto the floor to plank, whatever works best for you. If you're on the floor, you can either go from your hands and your toes, or your hands and your knees, or from your elbows and your knees, or your elbows and your toes. So while you guys get into that, I'm going to be looking at my timer. So let's try to go for 30 more seconds here. And so remember, when we're in that plank, we want to think about having a nice straight line all the way from our shoulders to our hip joint to our feet. So we don't want our bum pointed in the air or nearly touching the ground. We want to be nice and straight and neutral here. And 3, 2, 1, good job. So now we're going to move through that once more. So starting back up again with those glute bridges. So staying on the floor if you're down here in your plank. Now we're going to switch onto our back side, and from here, feet are planted on the ground, and we're pushing through those heels to lift our hips into the air, squeezing our bum at the top. And if we're not comfortable with the glute bridges today, then we're doing those standing or seated marches. So trying to bring up those knees as close to our chest as we can. Good job. Let's do 3 more reps together. Good work. Now our next movement is going to be that lying chest press again if we're down on the floor. So same position as that glute bridge, but now we're grabbing our dumbbells and we're placing them overhead. So we want to make sure that our dumbbell is directly over our wrist, which is directly over our elbow and our shoulder. From there, we're bending at the elbow till our arms reach the floor and then pressing back up again. And if we're not comfortable with getting down on the floor, then we're doing those overhead presses. So taking whatever option works best for you. And let's do 3 more reps together. And 1 more. Good job. Now we're going to stand back up again to get into those alternating front and lateral raises. So starting with our feet under our hips, our dumbbells are at our sides in our hands. With a straight arm, we're lifting those dumbbells up to the sides, up to our shoulder height, back down, and then lifting out front, up to our shoulder height, and back down again. And then just alternating through those 2 movements. Good work. Let's do 1 more each way. And good job. Now we're going to get back into those air squats. So this time, if you want, let's try to hold on to those weights while we do the air squats. So I like to keep them up on my shoulders, or you could do 1 in both of your hands, holding it vertically at your chest. Whatever works best for you. And remember, feet are a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Our toes are pointed outwards. We're squatting down, making sure our knees go over our toes and standing back up. And we're applying those same principles if we're doing those sit to stands, except when our bum touches that bench, we're going to stand back up again. And you could also just hold that 1 dumbbell with those sit to stands too if you wanted. Good job. Let's do 2 more. Good work. And now we're finishing our strength off with that plank. So let's try to accumulate 1 full minute here. So I'll give everyone a second to get to their plank station. And we'll start right now. So starting in that plank. So remember, making sure our body is nice and straight from our shoulders to our hips to our feet. Another thing you want to think about is your hands should be directly under your shoulder joints. So you can see my hand is stacked all the way from my shoulder to my wrist. And make sure you're breathing throughout this exercise as well. We're well over halfway through. "15 seconds left. And good job. And now we're gonna get ready to get into our conditioning part of the workout. So we're gonna do a Tabata, which means we're gonna do 40 seconds on of an exercise, and then we're gonna take a 20-second break in between every exercise. So the exercises we're doing for this one is gonna be our reverse lunges, just like we did earlier. After our lunges, we're gonna do some push-ups. So similar to that plank, but now we're gonna bend at the arms to bring our chest towards our surface and then press back up again. After that, we're gonna do our air squats, just like in that strength portion. After the air squats, we're gonna run on the spot. Then we're gonna grab our dumbbells, get into some bicep curls to a shoulder press. And remember, if you can't press overhead today, that's completely fine. Then I just want you to do those bicep curls. But if you're able to, then we're doing that full range of motion. After that, we're gonna get into our upright row. So starting with our dumbbells out in front, and we're pulling those dumbbells up onto our collarbone, making sure to lead with our elbows. So we don't want T-Rex arms. We want nice, strong arms leading with our elbows. And then after the upright row, we're gonna do some oblique twists. Couple options, either from seated here or down on the floor, sitting on our bum. And if we want, feet in the air, taking that dumbbell from side to side, or feet planted, still taking that dumbbell from side to side. Then our last movement is going to be those high knees. So if this is too much action for you, then we can just do those quick standing marches. So hopefully that is good with everybody. I'm gonna set up my Tabata timer. All right. So we're gonna get started with those reverse lunges. And we're starting in 3, 2, 1, and start with those reverse lunges. I'm just gonna set this up here so you guys can see it a bit better. Good job, everybody. And so another thing with these lunges as well, I want you to think about your feet being on a train track. Good job. Ten seconds left. Good work. Now we're going to take a little break before we get into our push-ups. So getting into those push-ups again, making sure your body is nice and straight from your shoulders to your hips, to your feet, and then pressing you're bending at the elbows till your chest reaches the surface and then pushing back up again. And so remember with our push-ups too, we want to make sure our hands are directly under our shoulders, just like when we were doing those planks. And remember, if you're not comfortable with doing it against the countertop, you could always do your push-ups against the wall. Good job. Now, after our push-ups, we're going to get into our air squats. So feet are a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, toes are pointed outwards. We're pretending to sit down in a chair, making sure our knees go over our toes and stand back up. Good work. You could also do those air squats with your chair. So squatting down until your bum hits your chair and then standing back up again. Good work. Good job. Then our next movement is going to be that running on the spot. And running on the spot here. And remember, if you want, you can always hold your dumbbells as you run on the spot. Or you can just use your body weight, whatever works best. We're over halfway through, so try to speed it up a little bit if you can. Good job. Then our next movement is going to be with our dumbbells. So getting ready to do those bicep curls to a shoulder press. And remember, if we can't press those weights overhead, we're just going to do those bicep curls. But if we're able to, then I want you guys to try and push those weights overhead. And remember, we're moving nice and slow and controlled throughout this. And just like with those raises, again, we want to make sure our shoulders are nice and down. We don't want them up at our ears. We want them nice and down and relaxed. Good job, everybody. Good work. Now our next movement is going to be that upright row. So still holding onto those dumbbells. So starting with our feet under our hips, our palms are facing our body with our dumbbells in hand, and we're pulling those dumbbells up to about our collarbone height, leading with our elbows. And just moving through that. And so remember, I don't want T-Rex arms here. We're trying to lead with our elbows. Good work. And just like I said before too, with this one as well, we're also trying to keep our shoulders nice and down. Good work. Now our next movement is going to be that twist. So either from a seated position here or down on the floor, whichever works best for you. And so taking that dumbbell from side to side, by rotating at the core. Good job, everybody. Good work. And now we're standing back up again if we're on the floor to get ready to do those high knees or those standing marches. And starting with our feet directly under our hips and moving into those standing marches, trying to bring your knee as high into the air as you can. And if you need to hold on to something for support of your balance, that is absolutely fine. Good work. Good job, everybody. So we're going to take a 1-minute break, and then we're going to run through that once more. Then we'll get into our cool down. So make sure to take a minute to grab a drink. Try to catch your breath here. And so we're about halfway through our rest. And remember, we're starting back again with those lunges. And we're starting back in our lunges in 5 seconds. So starting with our feet under our hips, and we're moving back into those lunges again. So remember, big step forward with our back foot, bringing that knee as close or to the floor if we're able to, and then stepping back up to meet our front foot, making sure to try to push most of our body weight through that front heel. Good job, everybody. And remember, try to keep your chest nice and upright as well here. 10 seconds left. Good job. And our next movement is going to be those push-ups again. So taking whatever variation works for you. This time I'm going to go down on the ground and do them from my knees and my hands. So remember, body's in a straight line. Our bum is not sticking up or down. Our hands are directly under our shoulder joints, and we're bending at the elbows to bring our chest to the floor or our surface, then pushing back up again. Good work, everybody. Good job. Now getting ready for our next movement, which is going to be our air squats. And if you want to challenge yourself, you can introduce your weights into this, or you can hold that one weight at your chest. So remember, Feet are a bit wider than shoulder width apart, toes are pointed outwards, and we're pretending to sit down. And we can always do those sit to stands instead. Good work, everybody. Good job. Now our next movement is going to be that running on the spot. So getting ready to do that in about 5 seconds. So running on a spot here. And try to make sure you get your arms involved. We're over halfway, so try to speed it up if you can. Good work, 10 seconds left. Good job. Now we're gonna grab our dumbbells to get ready to do those bicep curls to a shoulder press. So starting with our palms faced upwards, lifting those dumbbells up to our shoulders, and then pressing them overhead if we're able to. If we're not doing that overhead press today, then just doing those bicep curls here. Making sure to move nice and slow and controlled. And remember, trying to keep those shoulders nice and relaxed. Good job, everybody. Good work, keeping those dumbbells in hand as we get ready to do our upright rows for our next movement. So now our palms are going to be facing our body, and we're going to pull those dumbbells up into about our collarbone, trying to lead with our elbows, and then back down again. And so when you're at the top here, I want you to try to think about squeezing your back muscles together. So try to pretend that you're holding a penny in between your back muscles. And remember too, shoulders are nice and down and relaxed. Good job, everybody. Good work. Now we're going to get ready to do our oblique twist, whether that's seated in a chair, taking that dumbbell from side to side, or down on the floor, sitting on our bum here. Heels are planted on the floor, taking that dumbbell from side to side. And if you really wanted to challenge yourself, you can bring those feet up into the air as you take that dumbbell from side to side. Good job. This is our second last exercise here, so try to push it. Good work. Now we're going to stand back up if we're on the floor, and we're going to get ready to do those high knees to finish off our conditioning. So doing those high knees here, or those standing marches. Good work, everybody. We've only got 20 seconds left. Ten seconds left. Good job. So that concludes our workout for today.